Guess that's just only fair. Fucking
Right. Okay, I think we're live. Okay, let's see. I didn't think it'd actually go, but
say that on fucking stream.
it's testing it because I don't know why you can't just test it. But hey, man, okay, let's see if I can hear us. Then this is live. All right, yeah, yeah. Say something, Joe.
Yep. You hear me? Hello, hello.
Oh no, I'm listening on the stream to see if you can. Oh yeah, they can hear us. It's a massive delay, but I don't know how to fix that. All right, yeah, we're good, big bruh.
What's good, man? How you feeling?
I'm all right. First live on the channel. Did I got it up? I don't know how to get the chat, but hey, well, one step at a time.
I can pull it up.
But, yes, I'm just gonna use my phone for the chat. I just look down. That's no big deal. Hey man, trade deadline, eventful day
Yeah,
LA,
man. Big day around the league. A lot of blockbuster moves. A lot of teams trying to get better.
or trying to tank like the Jets. Uh, before we talk about that, the Patriots, much to your chagrin, are always in receiver talks. No receiver coming today. What are your thoughts?
I think the receiver, like I said, ever since the Mac Jones era, especially ever since Brady, the last Super Bowl run we had with Brady in 2019, it's always been receiver, receiver, receiver. I can't tell you the amount of AJ Brown posts I didn't see online. Like, I think that receiver is a need in the sense of we need a long term answer to the number one solution, right? Stefan's what 31, 32, maybe even 33. Coming off a torn ACL, he's playing balling out. No gripes or qualms with the way that Stefan's playing. Butte, he's looking like he can be that number one guy, but if for all the Patriots fans who really think that receiver is that big giant need out there, the only retort that I would have that just in this offense with Josh McDaniels, every week it's receiver by committee. One week
The same here.
Stefan had goes for 120 and a touchdown, 120 with 8 catches, and then the next week Butte catches 3 passes for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then the next week Pop Douglas has 3 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then the next week Matt Collins catches 3 passes for 70 yards. I just don't see the big giant need for receiver like we did last year. I think last year we didn't have a lot of talent. I think we didn't know what the answer was at receiver with Jalen Pope and that coaching staff with Gerard Mayo last year. But I mean, there was plenty of Patriots fans, including myself, doubting the validity of Keishon Butte. And so the fact that Keishon came in with this coaching regime and he's turned into the player that he is, whose whose numbers reflect a Pro Bowler, and who's had this just out of nowhere miraculous connection with Drake May that we thought that Stephon Diggs was potentially going to have, and the Patriots community thought this was a Pop Douglas legacy year for him to break out. So I'm not of the Patriots fans, or I don't know if I'm just all alone in the combat zone out here, but I didn't see the big need for a trade for a receiver. I more so saw the trade. If you wanted depth, I guess, but my biggest need was corner. I'm not a big fan of Carlton Davis. I don't think Carlton Davis is playing well this year outside of the run defense. I think he's probably one of the worst rated coverage guys we have on the team. He's just not the same guy that we saw in Tampa Bay a couple years ago when they were on their Super Bowl runs with Brady. But pass rusher, I like I said, pass rush. I think we've been getting good production out of our guys this year. Could you always get better? Do we really need a true edge threat number one guy? Do we truly have that guy who's in Aiden Hutchinson, Miles Garrett? No, but like how many of those guys are there? Right? So if
No,
we
definitely
wanted
not
to just
that
add
many.
some pass rush depth, just to help out a little bit more, outside of Harold Landry and Chase Young. Especially when Milton's not on the field or Christian Barmore's not on the field.
Jalen Phillips. I mean, he's on the Eagles, but he's on the Eagles now. But he could have been a good
No,
move for
yeah,
that.
I remember seeing that we had talks about calling for Jalen Phillips, and that was the guy I was like, yeah, we could use a Jalen Phillips on this team just to make just to give our defense that little extra kick, because our run defense phenomenal this year. We haven't given up a 50-yard. We're the first team in NFL history to not give up a 50 yards to a running back through 9 games. Phenomenal, just turn around for the run
That's
defense
actually
this year.
insane.
But like I said, the secondary is where we needed help, especially with the health at our secondary. I swear, through the first 4 or 5 weeks that we were with Patriots football, I saw Carlton Davis on the ground at least once or twice a game. Gonzo just got landed on this past weekend after checking Drake London, but it turns out that he's fine. He's okay. I haven't seen him on the injury report or anything. So, if I wanted to share up a position on the team, it'd be corner. Running back, actually, I should have addressed running back. I like what I see out of Travion so far for the most part. Really want that running back with a little bit of juice. I think he was learning a lot. That's why, despite Rhamondre's shortcomings as a running back, as far as fumbling, I think he's by far the best pass blocker we have on the team, and I think he has some of the best vision that we have on the team. Rhamondre will follow the block. Rhamondre will hit the hole. Now, does he have the juice that Travion has as far as getting to that next level? No. And then, but I think that's why Vrabel in this team were giving him so many, or weren't giving him the reps that Rhamondre have, because
I was always
is a more
surprised at how
player.
little reps Travion was actually getting this year.
He was just bad in pass pro. I mean, I even think if you pull up the PFF grade. If you pull up the PFF grade on Travion, I'm pretty sure he's ranked as one of the lowest. He's probably the worst pass blocking running back that we had on the team. And if everyone remembers what this team was like during those years with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, during those years, like James White, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, like LeGarrette Blount, all those guys were told to block. Blocking was a thing. If you could block, you were going to be a 3-down back. Travion Henderson, I just pulled up his grade, 17.1 pass blocking grade this year. He's just not figured it out.
He's better than me.
Yeah, he's not figured it out this year on the pass blocking side, even in the games. Like, I'm pretty sure there's that clip of him just like randomly floating to the flat on the right side. I saw some people saying that he was just watching for the edge defender or the spy to blitz him or whatever like that. But that's just not his thing right now. I know he was. It is weird because I think he was regarded as one of the best, if not the best, pass blocking back coming out of this draft. So seeing him really struggle in pass pro is weird to me. But at the same time, he's a rookie. I think he's a little bit small of a frame too. I mean, he's definitely a gritty, fiery, jolty kind of running back. Like he's gonna put that first 5 yards. It's gonna happen just like that's gonna happen. And if you get him in the open field, I think he can make things happen. We saw that him returning the opening kickoff for the entire season during the preseason. So he has that kind of juice. He has that next level. But for whatever reason, it hasn't kicked in the game. To his credit, we don't have the best run blocking line in the league. Our line specialty is 1,000% pass blocking, and I think that's a giant reason why Drake May has taken off so far this year. But as far as the trade deadline, I'm not the biggest trade guy. I think we have our assets. I think we have our team. Our team is really young. I don't think we need to be going splurging and throwing around young assets and players like that. But overall, I wish we would have got a running back just to show up the depth. Like I said, Terrell Jennings did look good in his debut. This weekend with us, coming up from the practice squad, got his first touchdown in his career. So shout out to Terrell Jennings. But Antonio Gibson was a huge loss in this running back room. Rhamondre has a fumbling problem. He had a foot injury last week. That's why he didn't play. And I just questioned the secondary as a whole.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think a lot of the issue is during the trade deadline is most people just want their team to do something. whether it's good or bad, they just kind of want to see their team do something because it's always fun to discuss what your team does.
Mm-hmm.
But I am. The more I think about it, I'm not as surprised we didn't do anything. The idea of Luke Musgrave and John Fitzpatrick. John Fitzpatrick had a really good preseason, but obviously with Tucker Kraft, he's not getting too many reps. But the fact that we didn't bring in another tight end, and we literally only have 2 tight ends on the roster at this point, and our offensive system is a bit alarming. Running back, I think Wilson's coming to his own. Jacobs is obviously the feature back. Outside of that, other than corner, I don't really see any position that I really wanted us to go get. And from the looks of it, there was only one corner available, so and we didn't have the capital to make that happen. But it's just tough. The idea that the offense that we run and how reliant we are on the tight ends to have Luke Musgrave, who really hasn't done much of anything actually. He fell by the wayside last season, and he really hasn't had too many opportunities to come in and make a play. And when he hasn't really been all that great. But we have no choice but to see now. When you look at the free agency market, I think Nick Van Nett's probably the best option.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, we might as well just see what Musgrave can do. And so as far as Green Bay, I understand we don't have the most assets to do much with, but it's just it's always tough to know that we have a glaring weakness and we're just going to go forward with it, and there's no real chance we can do anything about it.
So are y'all more of a receiving tight end team, or y'all more of a run blocking tight end?
Really, our tight ends do everything. Our tight end Tucker Kraft was our leading receiver. He's an excellent run blocker, and so to lose Tucker Kraft, I almost cried because just what he is the guy that Jordan Love can reliably go to, irregardless of what's going on, and he's always been reliable. He's not the fastest guy, but he is somewhat of a vertical threat. And the way Matt LaFleur has been calling plays, you can't rely on any of our receivers to get the ball, and so he's. It's gonna be a long end of the season, I tell you that.
No, yeah, losing Tucker Kraft, losing your number 1 guy like that is always, especially with something as serious as an ACL for a bigger guy. I think usually the bigger guys come back a little bit better than some of the speedier guys because they don't have as much bang and wear on their body as most of the receivers have to do, having all the impact from cutting and stuff that they have to do on the outside. But especially losing him in a season like this, where you guys are primed to make a playoff push, a Super Bowl one.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you guys are sitting at 5-2,
5-2 and 1.
5-2-1. That's right.
Yeah, still slow down on that.
But it's, trust me, injuries are one of those things you never want to see. But like I said, I feel like you guys can, you guys have the meat and potatoes there to bounce back. I mean, I think I've heard good things about Christian Watkins. I haven't been too in tune with the nitty gritty of the Packers, but Christian Watkins came back from his ACL. I heard he was doing okay.
Oh, yeah,
I know you guys are fine.
Is definitely an impact player for us. You can tell the offense really missed him. Romeo Doubs, and when we do use Matthew Golden, Malik Heath comes in here and there. Wicks is gone for a while, but they've all tried to fill that role. But a Christian Watson, to be as tall as he is, as fast as he is, he's not a kind of a guy that we can replace. And now that he's back, I'm really excited to see what the offense can do vertically. And so that's the bright side. But again, and I hate to be that what you call a doomer Packers fan. I promise I'm not trying to be a doomer, but we don't throw the ball downfield, so it kind of doesn't matter. But I think if Matt were to use the resources at his disposal, this team would be virtually unbeatable. With our defense, we lost the game where we didn't punt and the defense allowed 16 points. We lost the game in Cleveland where the offense scored 10 points for Cleveland, and we lost 13-10. And we were up 10-3, the interception by Love, and then they get the ball back, and then they're right there in scoring position again. So we really lost 2 games because of the offense's inability to move the ball downfield reliably. And I just don't know why. I really don't know why he refuses to throw the ball. Everything's a screen. When you have a guy like Matthew Golden, 4.29 speed, I think you hear me say this every night, but 4.29 speed, and you have him do a jet sweep and a screen. There's nothing vertical going on. And then you have a guy like Romeo Dobbs, who's clearly the most reliable guy that Jordan Love likes to target in terms of receivers. You can mix him around. You can put him in the slot. You can put him outside. He can play all the positions. And then you have Christian Watson. So you have 2 speed guys, and then your quarterback's favorite receiver, and they all do the same thing, just in different order. And then Savion Williams, he'll do a end around or a jet sweep, and then he'll go back and on the sideline, and we won't use his speed either. And so I think if Matt were to open the playbook up and just give this offense a chance to breathe, I do think Green Bay I would consider us a contender. But as we are right now, I just don't realistically think we're contending for a Super Bowl the way things are. And it's a shame.
Do you think that has to do more with LaFleur's play calling, or do you think he's scared to leave Love back there behind, whether it's his O-line? You don't think your O-line will hold up in pass pro? Or do you think that he's just as scared as Jordan Love's decision making, as there's a lot of sentiments of Packers fan about his either I throw a 50-yard dime touchdown or it's a what are you throwing pick 6? You know what
I mean? I think 2 things can be true. I think Jordan Love the talent is there. Either he'll throw an amazing ball that you're like, wow, only probably 8 people in the world can do that right now, right? Or he'll do what he did versus Carolina and just say, I think I'm wearing white, and just throw it to Carolina. Or what he did versus the Eagles in the playoffs, which is ingrained in my memory, where he just kind of threw the ball to Zach Bond because I think he's a cool guy off the field. And it's like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, you can't rationalize what just happened. And I think Matt LaFleur sees that. I think, what was it, the Dallas game, where he threw the most egregious pick before halftime. And so I think Matt LaFleur sees those things on top of his naturally conservative, paranoid play calling, and he just puts us in a box. Especially if the run game is not going, there's no chance he's going to call a decent game. If Josh Jacobs isn't breaking off, 5, 6, 15 consistent yard runs to start the game, you might as well go ahead and turn the TV off because nothing else is going to happen. It's going to be more screens, more end arounds, and a punt, and we're going to be a little bit confused. Or we'll go for it and not get it. And then we'll talk about how we didn't punt. But I think Matt just needs to play to win the game. That's the best way I can say it. I think Matt needs to play to win the game. And as ridiculous as it sounds, there's a lot of Packers fans that are about tired of seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to call for a coach's job when he's 5-2-1. But I think if you don't watch the games, you'll draw to that conclusion of how can you ask a coach to give up play calling that's 5-2-1. But if you watch the games, you'll see the problem in Green Bay.
It's the small decisions that add up over a long period of time.
Yeah. And so I think the offense has too many weapons to be as stale and stagnant as it is throughout each of these games. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one. And I think, who do we have this week? Oh God, we play the Eagles this week.
Trust me, we don't have a week off either. We go right into Tampa on the road.
That's going to be a fun one.
No, I think we can be primed to. I definitely think we can be primed to go into Tampa. No, are we on the? Let me make sure I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, we go into Tampa. We just finished. We had a little bit of a home stretch after being on the road for 3 weeks from the Bills to the Titans, but we go into Tampa. Tampa's coming off of a bye, so they're going to be a little bit more well rested than we are this week. But I think if our defense shows up to play like they're supposed to show up to play, I think we can contend. I think we contend with Tampa. Out of all the teams that only have 2 losses, I think Tampa has the most weaknesses, just purely out of injuries. Mike Evans is out with a collarbone. I think Ibuka's banged up right now. I can double check on 100% sure who's kind of banged up for Tampa Bay right now. But I know Tampa Bay is one of those teams that's dealing with a lot of injuries, but Baker's kind of keeping them in the game right now. Been loving the way um, that the defense has been playing this year. We've been keeping quarterbacks at bay, or actually, we can't even say that. I think we have a bottom 20 pass defense, or as well as yard per game this year. But and the Bucks already don't have that stout of a run game. But I think between Drake May and the offense playing as consistently as they do, especially I think Booty went out with the hamstring injury in the first quarter of the game last week, so he's going to probably be a game time decision more so if we're going to go ahead and roll with him, or we're going to try to just hopefully give Kyle Williams actually more of a shot. Um, as far as getting some more reps because he's been buried in the depth chart this year. That's our third round pick this year out of Washington State. We were a lot of high hopes coming from him going into the offs or coming from the off season into the season, but just hasn't found a spot on this role yet. I think no one thought that Matt Collins would be this safety blanket receiver that he's kind of turned into for us. And Austin Hooper and Derrick Henry are so Austin Hooper and I said Derrick Henry, Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry.
Oh, that'd be nice to have.
But like I said, it's just especially in the system. I mean, if there is a system where some random receiver, depending on the week, can go overhead for 100 yards, it's this one. But there's a lot of talent in this receiver room. There's a lot of depth in this receiver room. So I think Kyle Williams just kind of got a tough break this year, being in such a loaded room, especially that's playing really well. But like I said, if Butte's gonna end up being out, Diggs is gonna go up to that number one spot. Uh, that X receiver spot. I think that probably going to end up going to Matt Collins. He's probably our next big possession guy. They'll move Stephon probably to the Z, and then they'll probably move probably Pop. Maybe Kyle Williams will probably get some looks in that slot receiver position because they're a lot more shifty. They played a lot of that in college. Um, but we'll see what Josh has cooked up for us this week as we go into the week. But Tampa's no team to sleep on, man. We barely got out of there in Atlanta. I was up a wall all night. That definitely wasn't the best Drake May game we've ever seen. But Drake May's worst is still 100 passer rating with 2 touchdowns and almost 250 yards. So, I'll take it what we can get. Our defense showed a little bit of grit this week, especially like on the goal line stand like that. Michael Penix kind of threw that game away for them with the intentional grounding on that last drive. Wasn't happy with Carlton Davis. Like I said, I haven't been really happy with Carlton Davis all year. I think he's pretty good. He's pretty solid in run defense as far as getting off corners because he's a bigger, lankier receiver or bigger, lankier corner, so he can get off of those more physical receivers. But his coverage skills, I feel like I look up in Carlton Davis is tackling someone down the sideline, and he's been tested a lot this year. Marcus Jones has been doing excellent. We just gave him an extension. He just won AFC Defensive Player of the Month. Much well deserved. Marcus Jones has been balling his ass off. Christian Gonzalez, everyone knows who Christian Gonzalez is. Easily a top 3 corner in the NFL. Debatably the best. But if we just had average corner play, I just feel like I've watched every game this year live and play by play except the Browns game. And I don't feel like I've watched or seen Carlton Davis make one true play in coverage. And it's frustrating. Jalen Hawkins has been playing well. Craig Woodson, our rookie safety, has been playing well. And that's just the last piece of the puzzle. But, especially if Konzo goes down like that, he needs to be that other corner we can put on someone like Drake London and just give us a chance.
All right. I don't that's good talk right there. See, I don't watch all the Patriot games, so it's good to hear other people discuss their team in great detail.
Yeah.
To say stuff like, because I would have never known. I watch the Patriots in passing, or when if we're not playing and you're in the Discord streaming it, I watch it. But for the most part, we actually don't get that many 1:00 games, to be honest. But
no, like I said, this year I don't think the NFL expected us to be this good this year.
So which is weird because everybody had the Patriots as their team that didn't make the playoffs last year to make it this year.
No, yeah. So I think they make the. To be fair, I think they come out with a schedule more or less before this, around early, really early in the spring.
We do it after the free agency, I think.
and so there were so many question marks, and then like I said, the between the draft and everything like that. Of course, it has to do with they base a lot of the prime time game for the upcoming season with how well you did last year.
Yeah, it's all
Of
based
course,
off last season's
of
performance.
course, the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Lions are going to get big time games because they were good and they're high flying teams. They score a lot of points. They had a lot of playoff success. So it's
Lions
you
playoff
know,
success. All
and
right.
I my bad. I shouldn't have said that around a Packers fan.
I'm saying Lions playoff
No,
success. I'm not even hating.
no,
I just didn't.
no.
I'd
I guess
never
they
seen that.
haven't.
Not in
I
my
guess they did
lifetime.
lose. No, I guess they did lose.
Not even hating. I'm not even hating. But let's
Um,
get to the topic of the day that the people
yeah,
want to know
yeah.
about. The rich get richer. As we all know, the Eagles get Jalen Phillips for a 2026 third round pick to bolster what probably was, I don't even know if you can call it a weak unit, but the weakest unit because they ranked, I believe it was 24th in the league in sacks with like only 16 on the year. And so the one area they needed to get better in, they got significantly better in. And so
No, yeah. Jalen Phillips. I mean, he's been balling this year for the Dolphins. We haven't played the Dolphins yet, but I'm glad that he's not going to be there. I think he's totaled about 33 pressures so far this year. Um, and then on top of that, I think Brandon Graham announced last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that he's coming out of retirement.
which I really wish
And
he went out
it's
on
like,
top and
dude,
stayed
like
retired.
it's like what has Philly? It's like Philly has made the most weirdly genuine. It's like we've never seen. You can have a quote unquote overpowered quarterback or an overpowered defense or an
What's going
overpowered
on, Josh? How you doing?
offense, but this is like the first time I think we've truly seen like an overpowered front office. I don't
Yeah,
know
Howie
who.
Roseman. I don't. The way he manipulates the cap, the way he utilizes his assets is just. I've never seen anything like it. The only one I can compare to, I don't know why I want to say Les Snead, but the Rams GM. I don't know
Yeah,
why on God's green earth I want to say Les Snead. It doesn't weird when you know people. Yeah, it is Les Snead. Okay, I would say
oh yeah, you know
I don't know
why?
why I second guessed myself. I knew it was Les Snead, but yeah, Les Snead is probably the second best GM in the league with what he's done with the Rams. With that defense, how young the Rams defense is, yet so explosive and good. Obviously, Sean McVay handling the offense, but that's probably the only GM that I can say is relatively close to Howie, and it's not particularly close. And so, with the Eagles continuing to get richer with Jalen Phillips, and he is a free agent at the end of the year, and what I discussed in my video earlier was even if they lose Jalen Phillips in free agency, they'll probably get that third round pick back as a compensatory pick. So the Eagles are essentially trading him and trading for him for free. So if they
Yeah,
don't,
like I said, they did. It's kind of like they won on both fronts. If Jalen comes here and they have a deep playoff run / another Super Bowl, or if he just comes out here and has a freakazoid season, replacing Williams and what Josh Webb brought to the offense or to the defense last year, you know, they can justify it by saying, okay, this is just a short term thing. We're trying to make one last push before we have to start paying guys on the offense, and so we're gonna pay. This is just a rental. We're just gonna trade for him for, like I said, a third round pick, fourth round pick, compensatory pick rental. Or you could say that if he balls out because he's a young kid, we'll pay him, and then he's just gonna be
yeah, he's our guy now.
our cornerstone edge rusher for the next 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely an excellent move for Philly. It's a win-win. The Dolphins obviously blowing it up mode, definitely tapping into that rebuild just like the Jets are. So, I think it's kind of a win-win for both teams in a way.
Yeah, I'd agree there on that front. So, oh boy, I hate the fact that the Eagles are in my conference, and then the Ravens. They're essentially all hands on deck. Either we're gonna make something of this or we're not. They trade for Titans defensive end Draymond Jones, who I think he's actually having a really good season. 4.5 sacks. He has 5 tackles for losses and 9 QB hits overall. So he's been very productive in what's been a bad situation in Tennessee. I think obviously he'll have an immediate impact on this Ravens defense, which for the first time, and I don't know if you agree with me, but the first time in our lifetime, we could say the Ravens defense is just legitimately bad.
No, for sure. I think getting Demontre 100% raises the floor of this team. He's not a game changer type of guy or a game wrecker, someone that you necessarily game plan for or you're worried about. But he's always a guy you have to account for throwing a wrench in your plans. He definitely raises the floor of this team, who I think just needed a decent floor raise. Um, they weren't necessarily in the position to go trade for. On paper, they're not in position. They don't have a need for a ceiling raiser. They're not looking for that guy to come in and shake up things or just be a high turnover, high sack, high pressure guy. I think coming into this group, according to PFF, all five of the marks, pressures, sacks, quarterback hits, pass rush, run rate, he is now the current leader of that entire group on the Ravens. Just by coming from Tennessee. Tennessee's not anyone to hold their hat about how good their defense is. And the fact that he's already have the best production coming into this group just shows the level of, like I said, the floor, the amount of that he's just going to raise the floor of this team. There's actually going to be someone that teams are going to have to account for relatively. That's going to take some pressure off the guys who aren't producing as much. And yeah, it could undoubtedly make this team a little bit better as they try to get healthier. And I know they just lost. The Ravens just lost Matabuke, Nadami Matabuke, I think is his name. Really young edge rusher. He was having a good season with them last year. They just lost him to a season-ending IR. So, like I said, great trade for Baltimore. I'm sure DeMontre's happy that he's out of Tennessee too. Not necessarily the best place. Right?
Josh says Philly will easily win the division. Yes, 100%, not a question in my mind.
No, yeah, Philly's by far the best team in that division. Not a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your Commanders, Josh.
The answer, the question Philly has to answer: are y'all gonna win the conference? That's what y'all play. Y'all playing for a division. So y'all playing for a conference.
Yes, even with Dallas, what we'll talk about here in just a second. But I think Philly's pretty much has that division wrapped up at this point, unless things just catastrophically fall apart. And even then, I don't think anybody will be able to catch what Philadelphia is already. I think Philadelphia is already too far ahead, even if things were to go bad. Then we have the Jacksonville Jaguars getting Jacoby Myers from the Raiders for a conditional 4th round pick, and then they'll receive the earlier version of the 4th round pick, whether it be the Vikings or the Raiders, whichever one's earlier, they'll receive in a 6th round pick. And to go back real quick to the Draymond Jones, their stipulation was kind of fun. So if Draymond Jones gets 2 sacks and the Ravens make the playoffs, that 5th round pick goes to a 4th round. So that's the conditional 4th round. So that's something fun that we can. Well, I think the 2 sacks is easily achievable. Now, when we get to the playoffs, good luck.
2 sacks from the D tackle spot's rough though, man. The tackles don't get that much. Don't make that much noise unless the quarterback just kind of runs into them. Like I said, even my guy Milton Williams, I don't think he's. Actually, he might be. Actually, don't quote me on that. He might be leading our season sacks, but it's definitely not very. Like I said, 2 sacks. Having a 7-sack season as a D tackle is a great feat, excellent feat as a D tackle, especially someone who's not known, whose career is not necessarily defined as a pass rusher.
Josh says, and this is an interesting topic right here, if you don't mind diverging for a second. He says, I'm surprised we didn't make any moves to be sellers today as the Commanders. And I had that thought cross my mind earlier. The Commanders are the oldest team in the league. They're the most injury-riddled team in the league. And I'm not sure how many assets they actually have right now. But to be in the position they're in, I'm surprised, too, they haven't made moves to become sellers at this point.
No, they went all out on this season. They end up getting Debo. They doubled down on trying to maximize the team by trading for Laramie Tunsil. I don't see, even the most optimistic of Commanders fans at this point. Like I said, we can't say before the season. I don't think anyone saw the Commanders being 3 games under 500 come the halfway through the season. But they have been dealing with injuries. But like you said, they're one of the oldest teams in the league. And when you have older players, more veteran players, your young guys just don't get the reps, or your young guys don't break through the roster spots as much. So at what point do you just not have anything? You don't have assets. How do you sell something that no one is going to buy? No one wants Preston Smith. Uh, people, I can't say no one want Bobby Wagner, but anyone that's willing to. Bobby Wagner's probably still to this day worth a fourth round pick, even if he's just a rental, maybe a third, depending on how much you like him. But that's a hard squeeze for anyone that's looking to have Bobby Wagner come on their team and change the game, because they know that's not future. That'd be like I said, that's a loaded team. The rich get richer scenario. That's the only
Yeah, that'd be a team that's looking to win now.
Right. And so it's hard for these rebuilding teams to say, I want Marshawn Lattimore. I want Jonathan Jones, former Patriot. I want Preston Smith. I want Von Miller. These are all guys whose primes were 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And so, and like I said, they traded all their assets to gear up for this season. And the fact that these injuries just piled up the way they have, especially to the most important piece of this puzzle, Jaden Daniels, it's just. Of course, this is not the answer you want to. I'm no GM, right? I'm not the GM.
I think the issue is, and it's going to sound crazy to say, but this is kind of the downside to overachieving. When last year they made the NFC Championship, they beat the Detroit Lions. So your trend goes from we just got the second pick, Jaden Daniels, to we're in the conference championship, and we beat the Eagles to end the season. We beat the Lions in the playoffs. We're in prime. They got blown out by the Eagles, but that's not the point. They got to the conference championship, and so now you think your team is there. Now you think
you're a couple major players away from being in that same ballpark.
Right. When the correct takeaway was, we're not close. You see what the Eagles did to us, kind of thing. So where I fell into the hype, I think we all ended up buying into the hype, right? For the Commanders. I thought they would be right back where they were. Maybe not the conference championship. I thought they'd be I thought they would push the Eagles for the division. And I don't know if it's the injuries.
Everyone thought their floor was the playoffs. Wild card at work.
At very worst, I thought they'd make the playoffs. And so I thought, between the injuries and what does their injury report actually look like? I think it's going to take up the whole screen. Let's see.
Yeah, Luke McCaffrey got hurt this week.
Broken collarbone.
Marshawn Lattimore got hurt. Terry McLaurin is listed as questionable. Jaden has the dislocated elbow. It seems like there's a new blurb on this report that's saying that Dan Quinn confirmed it was a dislocated elbow, and he expects him to be quote unquote out for a while.
Yeah, I'm seeing that here. At this point,
out for a while, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and that's the season. You know what I mean? Like.
At this point, if I'm the Commanders, anybody on that list is done. Marshawn Lattimore wouldn't come back. Luke McCaffrey can't come back. Jaden Daniels, it's not worth coming back. At this, Dorrance Armstrong, Noah Brown, anybody on? Oh my goodness, they have a lot of people on the injury.
No, they've had the injury bug pretty bad this year.
I know.
I think they've had the injury. They've had the injury bug just as bad as the 49ers without any success.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so if I'm the Commanders, I'm essentially shutting it down. We're going to play. We're going to try to get as high as pick as we can. You can't say that, obviously, out loud. Josh says, injuries derailed the season, and we never found our normal in our identity. That's also true. When you look at the Commanders play, you don't even know what you're looking at. You don't know what the identity
I don't know. Is this a run-heavy team? Is this a quick game? Is this a team that does a lot of boots and sweeps to get the defense going sideways and then you're gonna beat them deep? You don't really like. I feel like there was so much magic around Jaden last year because that's the glorious thing about rookie seasons, right? Especially rookie seasons to the point that Jaden had it. It's that it's always that thing that no one had tape on Jaden. No one knows what this offense looked like. It was a rookie quarterback in a team that no one expected to be that good. And so when teams have a whole season to sit down and prepare for you, on top of you being injury riddled and being injury riddled on the oldest team in the league, by the way.
Yeah, this is a bad.
This is just a microcosm of bad things waiting to happen, and I can't blame the Commanders for wanting to try to strike lightning in a bottle by maximizing this window, because I think we would have been just as mad at them if they sat on their hands, right?
Right, because they
But
sat on their hands. They're like, look what we did last year. We could have imagined what we'd be able to do. So it's a bad position for any GM to be in. And Josh pointed out something, so I'm going to over the cap now. He said, "This season we'll go back to a traditional rebuild. Half our roster is free agents, and yes, they is. They have Debo Samuel, Bobby Wagner, Marcus Mariota, Zach Ertz, Von Miller, Jonathan Gray, Austin Eckler, Andrew Wiley. My bad, Matt Gay. I didn't mean to skip you. I just know you're not coming back because how's Matt Gay been for them this year? Actually, he's 31, so he has."
if he's been half decent for him, I'm
Yeah.
not for sure what the kicking stats look like. But I mean, to be
Yeah,
honest,
healthy
I mean,
stretch
this
this
is the
year,
best
so-
case scenario for the Commanders. Half the team is a free agent. You let half of them walk, and then you have a bunch of money to play with.
They're gonna
I
have
mean,
$84 million to play with next season,
being
and
the being the your friendly neighborhood Patriots fan, I mean, we're the textbook definition of that, right? We didn't pay anybody. Shout out to Bill Belichick and his cheap ways. We didn't pay anybody for like 4 years, 3 years, and so we come into this season right after Drake May's half season of the rookie campaign. New coaching regime who has a different philosophy on spending.
and they'll
And
be able to clear out $18.5 million with no dead cap by cutting Marshawn Lattimore, which I think is 100% going to happen because his cap number is $18.5 million, and after
no,
his
he hasn't been
performance this
playing
year,
well enough. He hasn't been playing well enough, let alone the injury. Marshawn Lattimore, I think, is maybe on point to call it a career, whether it's his choice or not. But yeah, the Commanders are in prime position. Like I said, they take a page out of the Patriots book. They're in prime position to be what we were this offseason. We had a lot of money and a lot of available starting roles, and we wrote blank check. We wrote Williams blank check. We've been playing amazing. We wrote Robert Spillane a blank check. We've been playing amazing. Carlton Davis we paid. Morgan Moses we paid. Bradbury we played. Like the list goes on and on. And now, like I said, now it takes Dan Quinn. This is a giant season to see if Dan Quinn has what it takes to build because we can we see the vision a little bit on what they're trying to do over there because of what we saw last year. So I'm not saying that Dan Quinn deserves to be fired immediately if it doesn't strike gold again, but we're in prime position for you to build your quote unquote your dream team. You have every opportunity to get guys in the door because we have the money and we have the roster spots available. None of these older guys are term answers anymore, and so we can get younger guys in here to solidify the defense for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Then that's what we need to do. And if you don't build it right, now it's on Dan Quinn.
Yep, like Josh said, got to get younger and faster. And then to wrap up the trade talks real quick, we have let's. I think Seattle got a steal. I'm gonna jump to that part where they got Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. I think that's a maniac kind of steal of a deal right there.
I said there was not really a trade that I was super pressed out there for. But if there was anybody that I wanted, it was Rashid Shaheed.
Shaheed to Seattle. Mind you, they have 3 receivers on the injury list, one being Cooper Kupp, and they're still they rank 4th in passing yards per game, 5th in points, with a banged up receiving core. So when Cooper Kupp comes back, you add him with Rashid Shaheed, JSN, the way Sam Darnold's playing, I don't know what we're gonna do about Seattle. I think that's a really good football team.
No, we have scheduled to close the stream or putting our top 10 power rankings up there.
Yep. So stay tuned, Josh. We got the power rankings coming.
If we're doing post trade deadline.
Hold on to it. I think we might have them in the same spot. I'm willing to bet we have them in the same spot.
Yeah, we'll see once we get there. But
that's the steal of the day. Rashid Shaheed to Seattle. I think they actually overpaid because when you look at the situation that the Saints were in, he's a free agent. Doesn't seem to be a part of the long-term plans. You probably could have just sent the 5th and not the 4th along with it. But, I mean, there's no reason to wait. If that's the guy you want, I figured you just go get him, right?
Yeah, no, sometimes you gotta pay to play, man. That's what we did. That's what the Patriots did. I know we did that for a couple positions. But, especially if you're not the most favorable market or favorable. Like I said, a lot of people like playing on the West Coast, so I guess it's not that bad as compared to playing in Boston. But sometimes you gotta pay. You gotta pay to play sometimes, and doing what's best for your team. If it's the right player, you just gotta overpay sometimes. It's just what happens. A lot of people told us Milton Williams wasn't worth it, even though he's been worth every penny so far. But even on paper, it's like, well, even if he's only worth 80% of this contract, it's better than what we were by a mile. So,
Yep. So then let's get to Josh's most hated team, who I think had a magnificent day. I think Jerry actually cooked today, acquiring Quentin Williams from the New York Jets and Logan Wilson from the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cowboys' defense, if you can call that a defense, is absolutely atrocious, allowing 30.8 points per game. Their only team worse than them is, you can guess who that is, right, Joe?
yeah.
The Bengals.
Yeah,
And
the
then the only
Bengals.
team they're better than in yards per game happens to be the Bengals. So when you look at what they were able to do, is this going to save Dallas' season? No. I think this is a great first step for Dallas in terms of trying to reconstruct this defense. Obviously, they need defensive backs. But when you have Kenny Clark and Quentin Nelson as your defensive tackles, you can find edge rushers now. You don't need the best edge rusher on the planet with those two on the interior of the defensive line. And Logan Wilson's a solid in the run game. He's a good tackler, which necessarily isn't Dallas's issue. But I think Logan Wilson's going to be a good addition to the linebacking core. But I think that defensive line, there's some real potential right there with with Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark.
No, yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm super familiar with Quentin Williams. He's always been more of a pass rushing game record. Or not pass rushing. I'm sorry, run guy. He's definitely been more of a run guy game record. Um, the Cowboys definitely needed if they want to take that Twin Towers approach, kind of like we do. We don't have the most premier edge rushers in the world, but we have two extremely top end D tackles in the league with Millen Williams and Christian Barmore. So you boosting up the interior just makes it easier for everybody else to know that okay, the pocket is going to get pushed backwards when the opposing quarterback rolls out. You know where he's going because if he comes up the middle, he's going to run to us. And like I said, at least being able to make teams one dimensional makes playing defense just a lot easier because we just had that solid foundation of run defense with Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams. Um, like I said, Logan Wilson, he's definitely been below average this year, but I'm sure it's hard to be a rose in the concrete jungle a little bit. Like I said, he's been a pretty average, above average linebacker between like the last 3 or 4 years that he's been in the league. He's never been a pass coverage guy. I think we all know that. He's definitely more of a run stopper. Like I said, weird that they doubled down on the run defense, but I guess you got to hang your hat out something. But Quentin Williams is 100% a ceiling raiser to a team with a super, super low ceiling. So definitely love this Quentin Williams ad. Logan Wilson is definitely a very good add to that Cowboys linebacking core that just needs some kind of veteran anything right now. I think they got a lot of young guys playing and just not a lot of leadership, not a lot of guys who have been there, done that. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird to know if Logan Wilson is happy that he got traded to the Cowboys. It's kind of trading him six. It's kind of it's kind of trading 6 of one for half a dozen of the other. You're going to another team who's a little bit dysfunctional and don't really know who they are right now, from one team who is dysfunctional and don't really know who they are right now. So, I guess you get to get out of a conference with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, but you're walking right into Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield and Matthew Stafford. So it's weird to say. It's tough to say, but like I said, overall for the Cowboys, I think it was a good move. They had to do something. I know that's the Cowboys' biggest gripes that Jerry does all these weird moves that don't make much sense. But it seems like there's a theme here, and you can at least give him some praise for that. Theme is to get better at stopping the run, stop letting teams run all over us, and try to let our guys that we paid, fucking ubuku money to. I know they just paid Deron Brand a bag after he led the league in pick sixes, or tied the pick six record or something like that a year or two ago. For him to, I guess you want to look, we're gonna stop the run and he's gonna throw the ball to you. You better catch the pick. I'm assuming that's the theme right now, and I can at least respect that they're trying to bring some semblance of of a system here to Dallas. So I think it was good for the Cowboys.
And then before that, the Jets made the news of the day, sending Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts. I I I've been gushing all day about the Colts. I don't know how much more the stream wants me to do that, but I love what the Colts are doing. Obviously, offensively they're a powerhouse, and then defensively, the one area where they needed some help, and I think they rank what 26th in passing yards allowed per game. But I attributed that mainly to the fact they've blown 4 teams out, so that inflates your passing number. So it probably wasn't really even a real issue. And now they have Sauce Gardner. So I just see this Colts team. I think they're my runaway favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. Maybe I'm way off topic. I mean off base, but based on what I've seen offensively, and then you add a guy like Sauce Gardner to an already solid defensive unit, they're my favorites to win right now.
Yeah, according to for PFF right now grades as a team, the Colts do rank 21st in coverage grade this year. In defense overall, they rank 14th. So definitely 100% a ceiling raiser. I know Sauce had a down year. I know, like I said, last year the big theme around him was he kind of fell off. But a lot of things played into contribute. Like I said, a bad organization and things like that definitely are things that are unspoken about that play into a factor in how well a player can play. And like I said, with all the I don't want to say higher expectations, but with the light at the end of the tunnel, that was supposed to be Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn coming into this team and trying to bolster up what was already not the best situation, and for it to go even more left than it was probably supposed to. They got their, like I said, they got their one win out the way, so they can at least hang their hat on that. But sometimes, like I said, we've seen, at least especially with quarterbacks over the last 5 years in the league, a change of scenery does a lot for a player. So maybe going to a winning culture or a team, I shouldn't say they have a winning culture per se, but going to a team with some expectations and a system and they've learned how to win, and it's just the energy's different. Sauce can go over there and really, really potentially blossom back into that All-Pro
and
future Hall of Fame cornerback that we all knew him for. You know what I mean?
And I agree with you. And 2 things Josh said. He thought DaRon Bland would be on the trade block. And I think after that contract, I think Dallas is going to have a hard time trying to get rid of that. Even if, a team were to need a quarterback, I think Dallas would have a little bit of trouble getting rid of the contract that they gave him, especially for the production he's given out this year. And then the second thing, which I just have to vehemently disagree. Josh says he thinks the Colts overpaid for Sauce. I don't think so. When you look at what they traded for Sauce Gardner, 2 first rounds in A.D. Mitchell. Oh, Daron Payne. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about DaRon Bland. My bad.
Oh yeah.
Yes, DaRon Payne. I would have loved for him to be traded to Green Bay. I'd have gave you a nice 6th round pick for that. But okay, DaRon Payne. Good talk. I'm glad you right now. Yeah. Okay. First, let me get back to the Sauce Gardner because now I'm a little riled up. I think they gave up the right amount because when you look at the framework of this deal, I think the Jets and Colts just essentially copy and pasted what Green Bay and Dallas did. We're going to give you 2 first round picks and a player for a young player who just signed his 2nd contract entering his prime. Micah Parsons is 26 years old. We traded 2 first round picks and Kenny Clark. Sauce Gardner's 25 years old. They traded 2 first round picks and which essentially was a 2nd round pick. He was drafted in the 2nd round the year before last in A.D. Mitchell. So they essentially got 2 firsts and a 2nd for Sauce Gardner. And the Colts really, historically, I looked earlier, they don't consistently have their own 1st round pick. So it won't affect the way the Colts build their roster because typically they don't have their own 1st round pick based on recent history. I think
right.
2 of the last 4 years, I don't think they had a 1st round pick. And so I don't think it affects the way that the Colts build their roster or plan on building their roster. And so I think they just copy and pasted the Micah Parsons deal and got this one done too. So I don't think they overpaid because I don't think Green Bay overpaid for Micah Parsons.
No, yeah. Like I said, my opinion on the Sauce Gardner trade, I think it's an excellent deal. The only stipulation, I mean, I guess this is not the hottest take in the world, but just like every trade ever, if you can tap into that potential of the player, then the upside is through the roof. Having a cornerstone, shut down corner like they had in Vontae Davis over the years. They had that in no, I think it was, Vontae Davis was their shutdown corner for a long time.
Yes, Devontae. Devontae was there.
Yeah, so having the Colts have never had an identity of being a stout pass defense since probably the early 2000s with Peyton in those days. Uh, so being able to shore up a position that you never really draft well at is essential, is crucial. And I think if there's any young guy who's there's not many young guys who's as proven as Sauce Gardner was. I do, like I said, and I'll stand on the fact that I think you get into an organization like the Jets who just don't know how to win, and it's just frustrating year after frustrating year, and especially with the emotional highs and lows that they've gone through over the last 2 or 3 years, with especially with the Aaron Rodgers years, it's just like, you just get caught in a rut. You just caught in a rut. There's just, I'm sure he doesn't walk into the stadium anymore with any pep in his step, or you put on a face for the owner so that way they don't say you're cancer to the team. But I'm sure they don't know. I'm sure he goes into every week just going through the motions just so he can get that check for that check to clear. So I think coming to a team, especially on the rise, with a long term plan, Jonathan Taylor, he has an offense that he knows can do them a favor for once in their life. Like I think that'll change a lot about the mentality. For Sauce. So I think there's a lot of potential for the Colts to tap in to that prime, like I said, all pro Sauce Gardner, and even just for the Colts as an organization. I think the 2 first round picks was definitely worth it for a 25-year-old who hasn't even been in his prime yet. Like I said, I think as NFL fans, we know that corner is definitely a young man's game. So this is probably his prime. He's probably entering his prime right now, and he'll hit his wall probably at 29, 30. And that's when he'll start floating with the Jalen Ramsey thing and go into safety at 31, 32. But he's just too smart, so he'll just go to safety. And then, like I said, the getting rid of Adonai Mitchell. I was a big Adonai Mitchell guy. Him coming out of the league last year for Texas. I think he's been playing fine for them overall. I guess they didn't see him in his long-term plans, or maybe the Jets just wanted a young asset they could flip right around for him too. Like I said, I was an Adonai Mitchell guy coming out of the draft, so it kind of hurts to see them trade him like that. But when you have Michael Pittman, and Tyler Warren, and your offense is predicated around Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line, I guess you could just make it work receiver by committee style. So sucks to see him go. I'm sure Adonai Mitchell's not too fond about getting traded to the Jets after starting the season 7-2. But
speaking of the Jets, I give them an A+ for today. A lot of teams are just afraid to hit the reset button, and the Jets just said, you know what, we're gonna get 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick in A.D. Mitchell, and we're just gonna start over. And I think this is gonna give them a great opportunity to build this team in Aaron Glenn's image, whatever that looks like, whether it's for better or for worse. I think this is the ideal situation for a new coach is just stepping in to have 3 first round, well, not 3, have 5 first round picks, including their own, and then 2, and then, their 2 next year. So 3 second round picks. So 8 high value picks to be able to do whatever you want with, trade them, use them, and potentially more with Garrett Wilson on, Johnson on the team, Jermaine Johnson on the team. So you can probably have an endless opportunity to gain assets and build this team exactly how you want it. So I think the Jets did a good job just hitting the reset button. Yes, you have talented players, but clearly it's not working. And so I think they did a good job there getting rid of Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams.
Yeah, I won't touch on the Jets too much, I guess, but Aaron Glenn might have saved his job. Having all that talent on the team, and then looking at the end of the season, and you only have 2 or 3 wins, maybe 1, doesn't look very good. But if you blow it up halfway through, you can say, "Hey, we blew it up halfway through. How could I win? How could I win games like that?" So he might have bought himself some more time. So if Aaron Glenn was at all part of that decision, then shout out to Aaron Glenn. That was a super smart move. Try to save his job.
All right, so I think that wraps up the trade deadline for the most part. And now we're in the fun part of the video. And I wish Daron Payne got traded to Green Bay, now that you pointed that out. But Are you ready for your top 10?
No, let's do it, man. I've
All
been
right.
waiting on the top 10. Top 10 talks are real spicy, and I'm curious to see who you got.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to put it on the screen so they can see it as we go. It's gonna be tacky because I don't know what it's gonna be on the notepad feature. So
If we do this again, guys, we'll get better. This time goes on, I
yeah,
promise.
we're not the biggest budget production, but hey, budget production, baby. All right, so I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh man,
It's
I
probably
like it. I like
terrible.
it. I like it.
All right, that's
Out
what
the
we
mud,
doing. This is how
man.
we gonna do it.
Scrappy.
Out the mud, man. Shout out to Zach Randolph and Tony Allen. But all right, so let's go from 10. All right, or you want to have some
I'll
fun?
put it out there. I want to shout out my honorable mention
Hold on, no, I was
team.
gonna say you want to have some fun and have honorable mention first. You
Yeah,
only get two.
I want to just point out my 11th team. I just want to point out my 11th.
All right, the 11th. Okay, that's what we'll do.
We can call it honorable. We can call it honorable mention just so it's not a part of the top 10. But I got the Broncos sitting at 11.
Broncos. Yeah, we're gonna disagree there. All right, and do your 12th. Let's just do 12 for fun.
Oh, 12th team. My 12th team is probably. Oh, I got the list in front of me. I just gotta pick the 12th best team. I'd probably go with the. I probably gotta go with the Chargers, man. I think the Chargers will probably sit at 12 for me. Maybe like the 49ers. I didn't dig down to 12, but Chargers, maybe the 49ers, maybe the Steelers, something like that. But I 12 is probably one of those teams, but I got the Broncos right outside the top 10.
Okay, and so my honorable mention. I might catch some heat for this. I have the 49ers. No, I have the Chiefs at 11. And 49ers at 12.
You have the Chiefs at 11.
Yes.
49ers
4 lost Chiefs. Do they have a marquee win this year?
No, they don't have a marquee win this year. But
like,
at the same
we're just
time,
going to be objective. The 4 lost team lost to the Bills last week. They had a chance to get a marquee win there. They beat the Lions. Okay.
yeah, the Lions was the first week I think they came back healthy. Especially that might have been 1 week before Rashid Rice. I think Rashid Rice's first game was the Raiders. But I think they got oh man, I can't think of the they had 1 or 2 players.
Because they started
I
the
think
season.
Worthy came back. I think Worthy came back versus the Lions. Is that correct? Yeah, I think Worthy came back versus the Lions, and I think Rashid Rice came back subsequently versus the Raiders. So the Chiefs were really banged up to start the season, which is not necessarily any, when you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, not an excuse. But
I mean, they have a real chance to jump the rankings. They're at Denver this week, and then at home against the Colts.
No, they are 100% the most volatile team on any team's list at any given week.
They have a chance.
No, they can easily jump up to the number 1 team in the country, or in the country. It's in the country, in the league by the time the season ends. You know what I mean? With just 1 win, especially when they play the Broncos. I think they have the Broncos this weekend, or not this weekend, but next weekend.
And so now I'm interested. Now we got to get into it because you have the Broncos at 11, and so
yeah,
we'll wait till we get there. Number 10. Who do you have at 10?
I have the Patriots at 10.
Patriots at 10.
Yeah, I have the Patriots at 10.
I have the Steelers at 10.
Steelers. Okay.
Patriots. Time out. Patriots.
Yeah, I have the
at
Patriots
10.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a doomer. What?
I don't think it's dooming, man. I don't think it's dooming. I think there's cracks in. I feel like there's cracks in the system, for sure. I feel like a lot of these other teams, but because this is where I'm coming from, right? We have a marquee win, but we do. I acknowledge that we have the weakest schedule in the league. Not close. Not particularly close. We have games versus the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Saints, the Titans, the Browns. We had our first mid-tier.
That schedule is miserable. I mean, mid.
Yeah, and so I think now, like you said, you can't disagree with 6 wins in a row, right? You know,
Because you
seven
still
and
got
two
to
is
win the
72.
game, and
Seven and two,
you
no,
win
7 and 2 is
convincingly.
72. 7 and 2 is 72. So that's why I have them at 10. But last week we played a half decent team. That I think the Falcons are the best pass defense in the league. So shout out to us for playing up to the bat for the Falcons and doing what we've been doing with Drake May, doing what Drake May does in that offense. But we played the Falcons way more close than I think that the Falcons should be. That Falcons offense is not inspiring. I think we learned that Drake London's him. He's one of those kind of receivers, but
That's fair.
I don't think I don't think we should have played the Falcons that close if we were really top 5 team. The Bills lost to the Falcons, so like I said, the Falcons are one of
Yeah.
those teams. Depending on what we can get,
I was
you can have a
I,
playoff team, anywhere from a playoff team to a blow it up and start over team, right? But
I respect it. All right, now number
but
9.
I just like I said, my like I said, my last blurb. If Tampa, if we put on a good show versus Tampa this week and get this win, I'd probably move us up 5 spots.
That means somebody got to come down. And let's see who could that potentially be. All right, number 9. Who do you got?
My number 9 is the Lions.
Lions. My number 9 is Green Bay. My number 9 is Green Bay.
Well, I rambled about my number 10 spot, so you ramble about your number 9 spot.
I mean, if there's no objections. Green Bay, we don't have Tucker Craft anymore. Luke Musgrave has been extremely inconsistent so far in his career. John Fitzpatrick, all we really have to go on is his preseason performance. Matt LaFleur's play calling somehow gets worse every week. The defense, absolutely tremendous. I love our defense. This is going to go down as one of the better defenses we've ever had, possibly one of the better defenses in the league. Just they don't allow points outside of Dallas. But they just don't let you score. Our offense scores more points in theory for the other team than our defense allows. And that's from lack of time of possession, interceptions that get returned in your own on your own side of the field, special teams ineptitude. Don't get me started on special teams. I'm just gonna get mad because for some reason Brandon McManus has a calf injury that he's still recovering from. We bring in a new kicker, breaks the franchise record, hasn't missed a kick yet. We're just gonna go with the injured guy. That's literally what Matt said. Instead of letting Brandon rest and get 100%, and we have this excellent backup kicker, which is very rare, we're just gonna go with the injured guy. And so I just think we're just making bad decisions. Special teams unit is already bad, and so the bright spot we don't want to have. We'd rather have the injured kicker. Now McManus is very good, but we'd rather have the injured kicker out there because I couldn't tell you why. And so unless the offense can figure it out and become more explosive and utilize the weapons, I definitely see this 8 teams better than Green Bay.
No, that's fair enough. I can't disagree with that too much.
Now, number 8.
Number 8, I have the Packers at 8.
Okay, that's why you weren't too far off. Okay, that's fair. You weren't too far off. Number 8, I have the Broncos.
All right, since you just touched on the Packers, you want to blurb on the Broncos real quick?
Why
why are you so high on the Broncos?
I didn't know this was high.
Higher than me.
I didn't know this was high.
You're 4 spots higher than me on the Broncos.
I mean they win at the end of the day. Just like the Patriots, you got to win the game, right? And then the offense has been really inconsistent, but when you look at that Broncos team, they just win. And that means something to me because you can be the most talented team in the world. You can have Patrick Mahomes like the Chiefs, but if you don't win, what does it matter? You know what I'm saying? And when you look at what the Broncos have achieved this year, and again, I'm not saying the Broncos are some of the world beaters or just this top notch team. I mean, unbeatable. They lost to the Colts by 1. That's arguably the best team in the league.
Right.
On the road, they lost to the Chargers on the road by 3. That's it. That's all their losses. They went to Philadelphia and beat the Eagles. Now again,
they scored 13 points. To be fair, they scored 13 points versus the Jets. And
that's fair.
It took a Magic City miracle for them to beat the Giants.
And again, that's why I have them so low. And then they struggled against whatever. No, Houston's defense is elite. So, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against them too bad. But I get the point. That's why I have them at 8 because they win the game, but have they looked good recently doing it? And the answer is no.
Right, and that's why I have them sitting right outside that top 10 bubble.
But I do
But I could
look at
also
their wins
understand.
and go, those are some good wins. I mean, that's a
No, for
good
sure.
win, Philly.
No, yeah, I wouldn't. I won't beat you up. I would never beat you up over uh having them at 8. Anywhere from 8 to 11 is probably reasonable.
All right, then number 7.
Number 7, I got Kansas City. I got the Chiefs at 7.
See, I'm curious if we're ever going to get 2 teams in the same spot. That's going to be fun.
I think we
I
will. I think once we get to those higher up teams, I think we
I have the Buccaneers at 7.
will. Okay.
And I don't have an objection with the Chiefs being there. I just fresh off
Yeah,
another
like I said, at least
loss,
for me,
no real
yeah, for me
quality
the Chiefs
wins.
it was more of a thing. They come off of or they come out, they play the Bills. I know it's the whole thing of we always beat the Bill, we always lose to the Bill in the regular season, beat them in the playoffs. That's not what's important to me. That's not what we're talking about. Y'all lost to the Bills. The Bills were on a slide. They had just came off of who? Well, they just got a win in Carolina, but they had two rough losses in a row. Like I said, maybe the Falcons. You can call the Carolina a confidence game. I think they blew them out 40 to something or 40-9. I got that right from 40-9. But they had just lost 2 in a row. They lost a big game versus us in New England, home, and then they went to Atlanta and got waxed 24-14. And so, of course, Carolina, they're just going to out-talent Carolina. We're not worried about that. But for them to come, like I said, to be fair, it was a home game, so I guess they played them in New York or they played them in Buffalo. But that's it. I don't care what anyone says. You got to spot the ball. You got to play the game. I don't think the Chiefs were out there not trying. They were like, "Oh, it's a regular season. We don't care if we lose." Kansas City tried to win that game. So whether you want to say it or not, Kansas City lost. They lost to the Bills, and especially Kansas City can't be afforded to lose to AFC teams at this point in the season with them having the rough start that they did. Kansas City sitting at 5-4. I think they're sitting right outside of that playoff. They're sitting right outside that playoff bubble. Um, to end up getting that wild card spot. I can double check that to be sure. But Kansas City is sitting at the 8th seed in the division in the conference right now. So if the playoffs started today, there would be no Chiefs in the playoffs.
That'd
So
be crazy.
um so it's one of those things where it's like, I think the Chiefs have all the tools necessary to be a good team in the league, but they didn't show it this week fully healthy. This is a fully healthy Chiefs team. We gave them the grace of not being a bottom feeder team when they were hurt, but now they're Worthy came back, and now they have Rashid Rice back. Rashid Rice looks like a beast. He looks like he hasn't missed a step. He looks like he's played all season. But the Chiefs are about to go through their hardest stretch of the season. They just lost to the Bills. They have to go to the road. They have to go on the road to the Broncos. Depending on how they show up there, depending on what Bo Nix they get, and depending on how well they travel, they'll have to beat the Broncos on the road, which we both have as fringe top 10 teams. And then they got the Colts at home. So
Yeah, so they
obviously
got
it's
a
hard to play at
chance.
Arrowhead. But that's a rough stretch. If they come out of that stretch with 2 losses, those are all AFC teams. We could be staring at the Chiefs not being in the playoffs outside of winning the division.
I wanted to come down to the last week. Now for the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield MVP candidate. They've actually played a pretty tough schedule, to be honest, and to be 6-2 with that schedule, I feel like you have to give them credit. Yes, they laid an egg versus the Lions. That was a disaster. But then they followed up with a 20-point win versus the Saints. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Seahawks in Seattle. They had a close loss to the Eagles. They beat the Texans with that tough defense. And then the Falcons, you never know what you're going to get out of them every week. And so they haven't had the toughest schedule, but they also haven't had the easiest schedule. In the way Baker Mayfield's playing, I see them as around the 7th. I could have them as high as 5.
No, they
When I
definitely,
do
like
it.
I said, they come and go. That offense starts and stops with Baker Mayfield, and it's only the nitrous and the overdrive only gets kicked in when you have a Buka, when you have Mike Evans. But they're banged up right now, so I guess we're gonna see what this team is made of. Like I said, no Bucky Irving either. I think this is the best team in the league, but unfortunately they're not. So,
And
I'm not gonna argue with you with them being a 7.
and at number 6, who are you rolling out?
The 6, I got the Colts. I got the Colts at 6. I know you're not too
6?
happy. You don't got to. You're not too happy with me on that one.
6?
Look, I can explain. I can explain.
Number 6, I have the Buffalo Bills.
The Bills at
I could probably move them up. No, I can't move them up. I'm morally opposed to moving them. When you see who my number 5 is, you'll see why I log jammed them. They got log.
Bills at
They got
6?
log. You'll see why they're log jammed at 6 when I reveal my next team.
We can both discuss.
I fundamentally can't bring myself to do that.
That's fine. I'll touch on the Colts.
All right, so go ahead and tell the stream why you hate the Colts.
I don't hate the
No,
Colts.
tell them why you hate the Colts and why they're trash.
Just so I can put it out there. The NFL is better when the Colts and the Patriots.
No, I don't want to hear that. Tell me why the Colts are 6 in this ranking.
I think the Colts are 6 because they played a 4-3 Steelers team and has had no juice on defense all season long. This is a team that Steelers defense and that Steelers team is propped up on turnovers and forcing mistakes. Even like I said, I can speak from a first-hand experience. We lost to the Steelers because we fumbled the ball 4 times. We didn't fumble the ball 4 times. We fumbled the ball 4 times and still lost by a possession to the Steelers. And this is the exact same thing that happened versus the Colts. Now, you can say, okay, the Steelers are just a turnover. They're opportunistic defense. But I think we've seen this from Daniel Jones before.
Oh.
I think the code is cracked.
No.
I think the code is cracked. And I think this might be a telltale sign of the beginning of the end.
No.
Because like I said, 3 picks is different than 4 fumbles. Fumbling, like I said, we had a fumble machine. Like I said, I'm trying to explain the context. The context between losing to the Steelers for us and the context between losing to the Steelers for the Colts is that Daniel Jones threw 3 picks when being under pressure. Drake May is the best quarterback in football under pressure.
What's the difference?
The thing was that we had 2 running backs fumble 3 times. I think that's what sold us the game. I think we don't fumble. We fumble once or twice. We beat the Steelers.
Okay, but hear me out on this point. The defense forcing the fumble is no different than the defense forcing an interception.
No, I think that's a sign of the quarterback not being able to react to pressure well, and so that's why I say that this being a 3-pick, like I said, he threw 3 picks in a 50 pass performance versus the Steelers.
50 passes and 3 picks. That's a volume thing.
No, also they.
When was the last time Drake May threw 50 passes in a game?
He doesn't throw 50 passes a game, but that's because he completes all his passes. But Jonathan Taylor was totally erased from this game. So
you're one-dimensional.
Like teams with better defenses than the Steelers say, if we take away Jonathan Taylor and make Daniel Jones throw the ball the whole game, I think we got the code cracked.
You can say the same thing. If we keep Saquon Barkley contained, we win the game.
No, that's not what they say. That's not what they say about the
We've seen it this year already.
Yeah, but that's not an end all be all. We know Jalen Hurts is not a turnover prone quarterback.
I think Daniel Jones has
I
finally.
think we've seen this Daniel Jones in
I think.
Like I said, I don't have them in the middle.
I just don't. I think New York, when you play as a young quarterback in a dysfunctional organization, you get this stigma that sticks with you. Baker Mayfield was trash in Cleveland. Remember, he had to bounce around the league. He went to the Rams. Sam Darnold, he was with the Jets. He was terrible. Get him out of the league. He should be bagging groceries. Aaron Rodgers was washed up trash in New York. Now he looks revived. I think when these young quarterbacks get in these bad positions, they get these stigmas that they're impossible to get rid of.
No, like I said, I'm not discrediting. I just want to be clear to the world. I have the Colts at 6. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. This is power rankings. This is not a standings thing. It's power rankings. I think there are more teams with more juice on the back end for the Colts until I improved otherwise. Now, looking at the Colts' upcoming schedule, the Falcons, they got the Falcons this week. Falcons are a hit or miss team, so that could be a good win for them. They play them. They play them in overseas. I don't know exactly where they're playing. Berlin. They play them in Germany this week. Then they have probably the hardest stretch of their entire schedule this end of the season, which is rough. After the Falcons this week, they got the Chiefs, then the Texans, the Jaguars, and then the Seahawks and the 49ers.
5-0. It's like, no. I'm playing.
I would say that's a proud 5-0.
I'm playing.
So I think this is the point in the season where we're going to see what the Colts are made of.
I'm as shocked at you having the Colts 6 as you were me having the Bills 6.
No, yeah. Why do you have the Bills? I have no clue. I don't know why you have the Bills.
I kind of have the. In order for you to understand why the Bills are 6, I have to tell you who's at 5.
Okay, let's just spat our 5 out
there. I have the Patriots at 5. Who do you have at 5?
The Patriots at 5. I have the Bucks at 5.
We're right there. I'm telling you, we're gonna get one of these teams matched up. Okay, so now we gotta go to the Bills. If the game is played, I honor the result. I saw That's you guys. Fair. I saw the Bills play the New England Patriots and lose the football game. And so, as much as I believe the Bills are a top 5 team, I don't think the Patriots are better than the 4 teams ahead of them. But I know they're better than you, and so that's how they got log jammed at 6.
No, I can respect that. I think 2 things can be true. I think we can be better than the Bills, but we're not one of the teams that are better than the Bills. Or no, that doesn't make any sense.
I got where you were going with it, but it's cleared up for the chat. I got where you were going with it, though.
But like I said, I don't think they're. If the Bills are the 5th best team in the league, I don't think we're one of the 4 teams better than the Bills. But
and that's when we played the Bills, here.
And like I said, I think the Bills were a close enough game to where that game could have went either way. So in one possession games, especially 3-point games, I always kind of defer to, we were the better team today, but that's not necessarily the case every day.
Right. And then I have the Patriots at 5. Obviously, the schedule, like you said earlier, is not the most impressive thing. But they do have a quality win over Buffalo. And that's kind of how they got pushed up the list on my thing. They continue to win games like the Broncos, so I can't have you outside the top 10 if you win. It's just one of those things, like, if they were up and down with that schedule, then I can understand. But they're winning these games. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They can't control who the NFL tells them they got to play on Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, whenever they play every day now, I think. And so I can't have them super high, but I can't have them super low. So I think 5 is a good spot.
To be honest with you, I think 5 is super high.
That's fair. That's fair. Top 5 is okay. That is high. That's fair.
Yeah. So I think that's why I had them closer to the bottom of the list by Patriots than the top of the list. I think the Bucks game will tell us a lot about us as a team, and we have to go to Buffalo and Baltimore. It's from some point this season. So, but like I said, as it stands today, we haven't played the Bucks yet, so I got us a 10. But I respect the 5. I appreciate the 5. Shout out to Marcus for showing some Patriots love.
All right, and Bucks at 5.
All right, who do you got it for?
All right, at 4, I have the Rams.
I got Philly. I got Philly at 4.
No, with the pause, I thought you were gonna say I have the Rams too. The odds are getting slim, man.
Can I tell you my 3?
No. Yes, go ahead.
I got the Rams at 3.
I'm sick of this. I'm just tired of it. I have the Colts at 3, and I want them at 1, but I redid it.
We're still looking good on one team. There's one team that neither of us have said.
No. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So number 4, Eagles, Rams. I don't think anybody would disagree with those, actually.
No, I think those are pretty mild takes. I think they're both fringe top 3 teams, 100% top 5 teams. I don't know. They play, like I said, they're Super Bowl champions, still playing like Super Bowl champions. They still have one of the most prominent offenses in the league. Saquon Barkley isn't having the same year as he did last year, so I don't think you're as scared as their offense as you were. But Saquon Barkley, I think, is still Saquon Barkley, even though
I think you're more afraid of the whole team as a whole. I mean, especially now they
have
Jalen Phillips, so they're not only going to be able to get the pressures, which hasn't necessarily been the biggest issue. The problem was getting the sack, and now that they have, Jalen Phillips, I think now they're going to start getting the sacks to go with it. So,
like I said, then you have Coos, Pro Bowl superstar level receivers in AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and you have probably future two All Pro level, potentially future Hall of Famer type linemen. You have a Super Bowl winning, very consistent, great decision making quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
You have a
I'm not gonna allow the Jalen Hurts slander.
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. Um, then you have Saquon Barkley, who's a 2,000 yard type of rusher. So I don't think he's fallen off. I think the philosophy of the offense has changed. They don't feed him the ball 20 times a game anymore. And then, like you said, you still have an elite defense. You got Cooper DeJean, you got Quinion Mitchell, you have Jalen Carter. Uh, you still have the same. The defense isn't the same. I mean, Jihad Campbell, their rookie linebacker, has been balling out this year. I think he's in a position to potentially win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I have to make an emergency change, by the way.
Yeah, you add fuel to the fire with Jalen Phillips. I think this is a good football team. No, yeah, what are you scared of?
The Colts go to 4, and we do both have the Rams at 3. I have to honor I forgot that I had to honor the fact the game was played. And I overlooked that the Rams took down the Colts 27-20. So with that, we do have matching teams now. I was looking at the Rams, and I don't know how I missed it when I was doing it, but the game was played, and they beat the Colts, so I have them over.
No, I appreciate the consistent logic.
So the Colts moved down. I'm sorry, Jones. I got you, Indiana Jones. But yeah, so I think now we both have the Rams at 3. I already talked about the Colts. I think we both like what we see out of the Rams. It's probably one of the more complete teams in the league, up there with the Eagles in terms of no glaring weakness. I think their defense is extremely young, and to be that young, to be that skilled and talented, I think that talks to how they coach and how they draft. Now their schedule, I mean, they have a quality win over the Colts. They lost a close one to the Eagles. Lost to the Rams. I mean, the 49ers are overtime, but those are division games. But the teams they were supposed to handle, they did. Jaguars 35-7, and the Jaguars aren't even bad. I'm not.
No, the Jaguars aren't a bad team.
That's a good win. That's a dominant win across the country.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was overseas too.
Yeah, to dominate that kind of game like that, manhandled the Saints. So they take care of business, and so when they're 1-1, they're 2-1 in quality games. And they take care of the teams they're supposed to take care of. So I have the Rams at 3.
No, I agree. Like I said, I don't think they're through the hardest part of their schedule yet. They kind of got a barn burner to end the season a little bit. But, I think you touched on most of the pain points. Matthew Stafford's still a really good quarterback. Puka Nacua is excellent. Like I said, that defense, you just can't say anything about that defense. They're young. They're fiery. They create turnovers. They game wrecking. Sean McVay's probably a top 3 coach in the league, if not the best coach. If you're an Andy Reid Blazer, but it's the Rams. The Rams are the Rams.
All right, and then number 2. This is our last chance to match teams. Who do you have?
I'm scared, man. I don't know. I feel like this is.
Who do you have?
Because who have you? I don't know. I'll just go ahead and say it. I got the Bills at 2.
I'm tired of this.
You put the Seahawks at 2?
Seahawks at 2. I do have the Seahawks at 2. So that means you have the Seahawks at 1.
I have the Seahawks at 1.
And I have the Eagles at 1.
So you're just a little bit higher on the Eagles coming out of the trade deadline than I was. I think the Seahawks are probably the best team coming out of the trade deadline now. Like I said, you touched on the Bills. You touched on the Bills a little bit earlier. I think the Bills showed what they're made of last week, coming off the win with the Chiefs like that. I think they played an excellent game I think the game that they played versus us could have went either way. Obviously the loss versus the Falcons, weird loss, but like I said, the Falcons are just one of those teams where, depending on the Michael Penix you get, and just depending on how. Just the Falcons being the Falcons, they're the most 500 team, most middle of the pack, depending on what team you get every week. I feel like the Falcons are one of those weird teams that will just give you hell, no matter how you cut it, just because they're one of those weird scrappy teams. But they handled business versus the Panthers. They waxed. They came back versus the Ravens in week 1. Call it what you want, but that's a playoff team.
Yeah, that was a
They're
good
healthy.
game.
And so they beat 2 of the best teams in the AFC already, and they took a barn burner for one of another top 10 team in the league, let alone the AFC and the Patriots. So I think that was a statement win versus the Chiefs. It shows that they're still here. It shows that they haven't fallen off. And if their defense was going to have a bounce back game versus anybody, they figured it out versus the Chiefs. Now, there are a lot of people I've heard the Bills are built to beat the Chiefs. The Bills are built to beat the Chiefs. The Bills are built to beat the Chiefs.
They don't do it in the playoffs.
They don't do it in the playoffs. So, but you're only as good as your last game, right? So as of right now, when the Bills and Chiefs play, the Bills win. They'll have a confidence building game versus the Dolphins this week. They have another test of the Buccaneers coming up, and the Texans, Steelers. That's a little bit of a stretch that they got to go down. They got us one more time this year, and they got Philly towards the end, right after Christmas, to end the year. So obviously the season's not over for anybody. Of course, I can make this argument for anyone that their season's not over. But
Jets, but but yeah. So we already talked about the Seahawks and the Eagles. The reason I have the Eagles won, I just don't see a better roster in the league, and then you add a guy like Phillips to the team. Now, don't get me wrong, Eagles Seahawks on the same field, that's a toss up. I really think that comes down, especially in the playoffs, to who has home field advantage. I think the way Sam Darnold has been dealing the ball, Rashid Shaheed, he's going to take the top off the defense. So already when you have a guy like JSN, they're going to give the Eagles all they can handle. The Eagles, there's no need to introduce who they have, right? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, the tush push, Saquon Barkley, the quality defense. Like I think these two teams are evenly matched. I think it's really going to come down to the Rams, Seahawks, and Eagles out of the NFC. I think those are the three giants that you're gonna have. Somebody's gonna have to take them down, and I think it might be each other.
No, I agree, but like you said, I feel like obviously the offense has been playing well for the Seahawks this year with JSN. JSN's probably the offensive player of the year, unless you're a running back guy and you want to give it to Jonathan Taylor. But my offensive player of the year right now is JSN. But the real shining star is the defense, man. I feel like the Seahawks were the most where did these guys come from team this year. I think everyone had the Patriots as a dark horse team to be really good this year. The Seahawks, they were kind of in that 20 to 215 range. Like, this is more of a middle of the pack team. I don't think anyone knew what to expect out of Sam Darnold this year, which was fair. Just trading Geno Smith like that for Sam Darnold. Excellent move by the coach and Mike McDonald, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for them. I think the Sam Darnold call was the right call, and obviously they're reaping the benefits of it now. But like you said, you got guys playing well like Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, Derek Hall, and then shout out to the young rookie Nick Mwari, the safety for the Seahawks. He's been balling his ass off.
John, you can't give
they have Devin
Witherspoon
like that. Devin Witherspoon's another great young corner for them who's been playing well. So, I just feel like the Seahawks are the most complete team in the league, man. They're playing. Not only are they playing well, but they trade well, they ran well, they're coached well. I definitely see what you're talking about with Philly, but
I just want to see them.
I don't know. I feel like if anything with Philly, that we got tape on Philly. We don't got tape on
Seahawks. That's a fair take. And so that
shout
wraps up the top 25.
Shout out to Cam and John joining
and
up.
Josh, I am surprised the Bills didn't. I heard they made a call about Chris Olave. I really thought the Bills would make a move to bring in another receiver. If I had to bet on anything, I thought the Bills were going to get another receiver. But I guess
no. I mean, the Bills are they're more. They have their guys. They have the guys in their system, in their spots. I don't know what the Bills' asset situation is like. I'm not for sure. If they have a whole bunch of wiggle room when it comes to picks and everything like that. I wish I was more knowledgeable on their asset situation. But yeah, I mean the Bills, they're one of those teams. They're receiver by committee too a little bit. I mean they have Khalil Shakir to be their over the middle safety blanket guy. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid have their short yardage situation roles. And then they have, like I said, Keon Coleman's more of that goal line, like
Debo to the Bills.
Chuck it up and hope that he catches it receiver. I'm not the biggest Keon Coleman guy, but I wasn't high on him when he got drafted. I was glad the Patriots didn't take him, but I guess I'm eating my words because Jalen Pope is on IR and was on our team. So
Yeah, so now if I almost said the team. Oh, if the Commanders could have got off Debo Samuels, I think he's a good fit for a team in a different time. I wouldn't have been mad at the Commanders moving off of him. Um, we do have we can't watch ESPN because
unless
YouTube
you want to make
TV.
money.
No, I don't make. I'm
Oh
just
no,
saying,
that too. Yeah, shout out to UTV for not letting me watch Monday Night Football.
Like, because the committee's rankings are coming out, and it'd be pretty cool to follow along. I don't know if you're done for the night, but they seem pretty active in here now. So I don't know.
No, yeah, no, we can stay. I mean, I'm chilling.
I just want to make sure Tennessee's
I
not
did
inside
think
the top 20, or I'm gonna rip my hair out.
Yeah, we spoke on the Sauce trade a little bit, Cam. We said, moral of the story, we both thought it was a great deal for the Colts. You get a young primetime receiver, a primetime corner that can solidify a defense for the next 4 years. Marcus touched on that the Colts typically don't have their pick, have had their first round pick in like 3 or 4 years. They typically traded away. So we are both fans of the Sauce Gardner trade. I think it was the right move for Aaron Glenn to keep his job and to just reset the ship, bringing a new batch of guys to buy into the culture and organization he's trying to make. So we're both fans of the Sauce Gardner trade for both teams. The Chiefs trading for a running back. I could definitely have saw the Chiefs trading for a running back. I don't know what running back they would have traded for. Maybe that's where Breece Hall could have went. If they were, the Jets were selling like that, they could have traded for Breece Hall.
The first 5 teams are out. I didn't mean to cut you off, my bad.
Oh, what is this? College football rankings?
Yep, the committee is releasing their first rankings of the year, and it says it doesn't appear there's going to be a group of 5 team in here. At number 25, they have Tennessee. At number 24, they have Pittsburgh. Number 23, finally, Washington is getting some love. Number 22 is Missouri. And then number 21 is Michigan. And so right now, Tennessee is ranked despite not beating a winning team all year. Pittsburgh, a bit surprising, but I'm not necessarily the most surprised. I think Washington, once again, is not getting the respect it deserves. Missouri is a good team. Michigan is Michigan. They're a good team. And so that's all that's out right now. I'm following the website because Disney.
Depending on how much longer we stay, we might.
I might just chalk this up, and y'all might gotta get a video tomorrow.
Okay. I don't know. Y'all got any more questions for us, man? Anyone in the chat? Anyone still that's listening to us?
Okay, they're moving. All right. Number 20.
You want to put the top 10 list one more time, Marcus?
Yep, we can pull up the top 10 one more time. We have...
Just so they can see it. They got any questions for us?
Is it showing? Okay.
Make sure y'all like it, man. Make sure y'all like the stream. Shout out to Marcus for putting this on, man.
Shout out to Ralph for saying yes, man. At number 20, they have Iowa, 19 USC, 18 Miami, 17 Georgia Tech.
That loss they had last week with Carson Beck that wasn't going to do them no favors.
I hate ranking off brand. 16 Vanderbilt, 15 Louisville, 14 Virginia, 13 Utah. Okay.
Oh, they're already at 13. Okay, we're in playoff. We're in playoff territory. Go ahead and, or actually let this marinate. I don't know if Cam said he had a question.
He said he does. So no group of 5 teams will be in the ranking. So that makes it very interesting on how who's gonna get that 12th spot.
The USF ended up.
Go ahead.
The USF ended up losing last week. I can't remember if
they didn't. No, they didn't lose last week. They lost to Memphis, who lost to UTSA.
No, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
They No, I'm sorry. They did. They lost to Memphis last week. I saw UTSA and started thinking about Memphis. Yes, they lost last week.
All right, contenders versus pretenders from our top 10.
Ooh, that's fun.
My biggest pretender. I think I touched on it with the Colts. I think that if there's anyone, I think the Colts are the biggest pretenders. I'm
We're
just not
not doing
100%
this.
sure.
We're not gonna disrespect the Colts. I'm
I'm not. It's
sorry. I
not
can't
disrespect.
do this.
I have them
Cut
ranked
the
as the
show.
sixth best team in the league.
Cut the show.
I have them as the sixth best team in the league. That's not disrespect. But if you told me who I think is the most likely team to fall off of an absolute cliff for the rest of the season, Daniel Jones, I don't know. He might see ghosts, man. I think he has the most likely one to see ghosts. But that's not disrespect. They're 7-2. I can't disrespect 7-2. They spotted the ball versus 7 teams and beat them. But like I said, I hope the league didn't find the cracks in the shell last week when you
blitzed you got John riled up.
John, I have him as a
John. He's beefing with y'all, man.
I have him as the sixth best team in the league. I don't know how that's disrespect.
All right, so pretenders. That's your pretender. I guess we can go one contender like that. My pretender is Green Bay. I just and
narrative, man.
Yes, I'm a Packer, but I say that because when I watch the Eagles play, when I watch the Seahawks play, when I watch the Rams play, our defense can only hold for so long, right? And you could put the Lions in the pretenders too. I just didn't have them in my top 10, so I couldn't say the Lions.
Wait, yeah, now that I mentioned it, you don't have the Lions in your top 10.
No, they lost to Minnesota.
Just looking at that.
They lost to Minnesota.
That's where are the Lions like top 15 for you?
Yeah. All right, so that's the fun part. So I did I did a kind of like a jumble on of teams. I had the Chiefs and 49ers. Those are my next two. And I put Carolina, Minnesota, Detroit, and Chicago all in the same spot.
Yeah, all the same tier.
They're like all tied for 13.
All right, man. That's.
I think you're goated in the chat. What's going on?
I think you gave a couple teams a division pass, man. That's kind of, I don't know. That's a division game, man. It's tough. It's tough.
I agree. It's tough. Like the Rams lost to the 49ers, but the 49ers are a damn good football team, even though they're hurt. But yes, Green Bay, pretenders, and not because I want them to be, obviously, but when I look at what I've seen, we lose games to Cleveland. You can't you can't put yourself in that position against any of the other teams we just named. You lose games, you tie with Dallas, and then you follow that up with a loss to who did we lose to? I was so upset I forgot. Jesus.
You lost to Carolina.
Carolina at home.
Cowboys.
Bryce Young was 11 of 20 and won a football game with an interception. Your defense is giving you extra possessions. They're forcing punts, and you're going 3 and out. Your playbook is predictable. You're not taking shots. You have to take shots downfield and move the ball to beat these teams that we talked about. Seattle's going to take shots downfield. Whether it works or not, they're going to keep you honest. You can't stack the box and just play the game like you do versus Green Bay.
The Browns was the other team.
The Browns just stack the box and play the game. Because there's no chance they're gonna throw it deep. They're just not gonna do it. And so unless Matt LaFleur completely changes his philosophy and becomes aggressive, when he does that, I'll take us off the list. Contender, your turn.
All right. So my contender, I might be a little biased, man, but I think we're contenders, man. I think we can. I think we've shown enough. I think we've shown a lot this season. Drake May's playing like an MVP. I think when you have receiver by committee, I think that makes it harder to game plan for everybody. What, do you want me to say the fucking Bills are contenders? I'm sorry.
Nah.
Watch my mouth. You want me to say the Bills are contenders? Of course they're contenders.
Oh no! I'm not questioning you. I think the Patriots. I don't have a strong opinion either way.
But like I said, I think if we can bump with the Bills, I think we can bump with the Chiefs on a good day. Like I said, we're a young team, so we have a lot to prove. I think we have a good coaching staff, and I think we play simple ball. We stop the run, and we try to make you pass it over our head. Our safety's been playing well this year. Like I said, I've had my gripes with Carlton Davis, but we have Christian Gonzalez and Marcus Jones. And I think we can. Like I said, we know how to play. We're a cold weather team. I think cold weather teams actually do better. And I think we're just riding high, man. I think Stephon Diggs has been playing well. Like I said, the receiver by committee is such a good thing. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper have been balling this year. Our weakest spot is probably our run game, but even that's not atrocious. Like we're not good, but I don't think we're necessarily qualified as bad.
No, I wouldn't
So
say you guys are bad.
yeah. So I think we have a shot at making a run, man. I think if we play our best ball, and especially I think we have health on our side too. We're not that banged up compared to a lot of other teams. Knock on wood. But like I said, if there's a true, I think we have a better shot at winning the Super Bowl than the Broncos. Uh, who else in the AFC? We have a better, we have a better shot than the Broncos. We have a better shot than the, I don't know. I don't want to say the Colts because we haven't earned that right yet. But uh, yeah, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Chargers. I think we have a better shot at winning than all of them. And you told me we have to win one game versus, like I said, the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs right now. If the playoffs started today, I'll pull it up real quick. If the playoffs started today, it's the Colts at 1, the Patriots at 2, Denver, Steelers, Bills, and Chargers. That's the playoffs.
Okay.
No, in Jaguars in Jacksonville, I think 6 teams. So yeah. Jesus Christ. But okay. Yeah, like I said, the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. I think we beat every team on that list. We've beaten the Bills, we beat the Chargers, we beat the Jaguars, we beat the Steelers a second time. I think we played the Steelers again, we would beat the Steelers again.
No, you didn't beat them the first time, never mind.
We're better than the Broncos. I think there's one team that's better than us in the playoffs right now, and that's the Colts. And I think we give the Colts a game. I think we give the Colts a run.
I'm not mad at that. I'm actually not mad at that. All right, so we'll do my contender, and then we'll get to Cam's next question.
Yeah,
contender.
We can wrap it up.
This isn't fun. I mean, contender. I think I'm trying to pick somebody that's not obvious. Pittsburgh, because I mean we all know the Rams, Seahawks, Steelers, Bills, Colts.
I don't know, man. What you got?
That's tough. I don't want to do anybody obvious. You know what I'm saying?
49ers are in the playoffs. I'll show you the NFC 49, the NFC playoffs. It's the Eagles, the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Lions. Do you think the 49ers can make some noise?
No.
The Bucks make some noise?
I think the 49ers have the potential to pull off a wild card upset, right? Who would they play today if they made the wild card?
What, 6 versus 2, right?
Yeah.
They play the Bucks?
No, 6 I'm corrupted. Oh God, I'm corrupted. So it's 2 versus 7. 2 versus 7.
No, 6-3. 6 versus 3 is Seattle. They play Seattle on the road.
They can win that. They've already done it in Seattle. So I think they have the chance to make it very interesting. I don't think they have a chance to go very far, if that makes sense. They can win a game in the playoffs. Now, will they go from beating Seattle on the road to going to Philly and doing it? No. Will they beat Seattle on the road and then go to LA and do it? No. Will they go to Seattle on the road and go to? They could probably do it in Green Bay. Historically, they do, but no, right? Historically, they beat Green Bay in the playoffs, but no, I don't think they beat this team in the playoffs, right? I think they have a chance to have some fun.
I don't know, man. Who's your contender then? You gotta pick someone. You only pick Cam Hagan.
Give me the Rams. I think the Rams are very underrated. You know, people aren't noticing. It's like, nah. But yeah,
underrated and overrated.
My favorite team.
And properly rated at the same time.
My favorite team, my favorite to win the Super Bowl, as I said earlier, Indianapolis Colts. That's my contender. My Super Bowl favorite.
And I know it's the first time we've been good in a while, Cam, but I don't know. I feel like the AFC is not as the big dogs in the AFC are in the playoffs right now. So.
Okay, I thought the rankings. I thought they put Memphis at 12. Okay, no, they designated Memphis as the 12 seed, even though there's no Group of 5 rank. Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. But anyway, 12 is Oklahoma, 11 Texas, 10 Notre Dame, 9 Oregon, 8 Texas Tech, 7 BYU, 6 Ole Miss, 5 Georgia, 4 Alabama, 3 Texas A&M, 2 Indiana, 1 Ohio State. I'm not mad at that actually.
Yeah, they moved BYU up a lot from where they're actually ranked. But I'm not mad.
I'm a big BYU guy. I had them ranked pretty high.
I think there's too many teams in the playoffs, but that's a different discussion for a different.
I think it keeps it interesting. opinion. I don't know. Are you done, Jarrell, or you want to do Cam's question?
No, we can. I don't know. We can pick our favorite. Cam wanted supposed to pick a bad team to give an opinion on.
Opinion on bad team
I'll pick my
situation.
favorite bad team. Um, my favorite bad team is probably the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have like what 5 straight losses to one possession teams. Um, and when it comes to one possession games, especially with teams like that, once they learn how to win, or you have to put the right coach in the right scenario, kind of like the Charger situation, where for whatever reason you guys just don't know how to finish games. Uh, I think it's a really good football team, man. I really do. I genuinely think the Cardinals are a good team, or they're closer to a 500 team. They're close to a middle of the pack team than they are
Because
a
the
500.
Cardinals, when you look at them, they don't get blown out. They're
No, they
kind of
don't.
like Houston, but better.
Right. Like I said, now they don't know how to finish games, and the Tennessee loss was extremely embarrassing. But like I said, you had that young kid, DeMarcado, drop the ball on the 1 yard line, celebrate, fumbled it, obviously. But they play every team good, man. They play every team hard. That's 100% the best team, especially with only 3 wins, I think, in the entire league. Um, like I said, I don't know what they're gonna do with Jacoby Brissett and Kyler Murray. It's impossible for me to say that trading that the like not playing Kyler Murray because Jacoby Brissett isn't a long term option, right? Jacoby Brissett has made a career off of being the best backup in the league, essentially, and probably the best bridge quarterback you could buy. I mean, he wasn't great, but of course we didn't have a great team last year. So, but I think Jacoby was very, very much thrown into the dumpster fire with us for the first 4, 5, 6 games of the season last year before Drake took over. But I have nothing bad to say about Jacoby. I mean, that was his second stint in England, so I have a little bit of bias there. But Jacoby's just been balling, man, and
Now, he was playing great football.
and it's tough to say whether you let Jacoby when Kyler gets healthy, you don't give the team back to Kyler because he
Kind of
is
have
the
to.
franchise. He is the franchise quarterback, so it's like you know I think at this point in his career, you have to consider moving on from Kyler. I think you are at that point to where it might just be better to invest in a young rookie and just let him, like start looking at the paint dry. It just be like, look, we have to start playing post Kyler because Kyler at his best is probably not what we're looking for. He's one of those upgradable. I think we had this conversation the other day offline. Uh, those quarterbacks who are considered upgradable.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray's upgradable.
I'd agree. I think he's on that list.
It's like he's not a dumpster fire. You could have way worse quarterbacks than Kyler Murray, and I mean way worse quarterbacks than Kyler Murray. He's probably a top 15 quarterback, but you know, at what point do you just be like, look, let's just, you know,
Do something
you
different.
know, let's just change it up. If Kyler Murray, I don't know when he's due for another contract. I know he got paid maybe a year or two ago. Um, but if you can wipe your hands of Kyler Murray and start off fresh, I think you do. But I do like that team overall. I think they're a great team. Just tough losses, just don't know how to finish games, just defensive collapses. But I think they have the bones to be a really
And then
good team.
I'm glad we didn't pick the same team. I chose the Commanders. We all know about the Jets. You have 5 first-round picks in 2 years. Like we know at that point you're just gonna say I'm gonna build a great team with draft picks, right? Uh, so we're gonna pick an interesting one here, and that's the Commanders, where they kind of just have what they have. You have your picks, and you have your players, and you have a ton of cap space, which I think they're in a really interesting spot because uh, I haven't watched a whole lot of Commanders football. I don't think their offensive line is necessarily bad either, especially with Laramie Tunsil holding down the blind side. So I think we just got to get Jaden Daniels to stop taking as many hits as he's taking. He's not Jalen Hurts. You're not Daniel Jones. You're not Josh Allen. You're not. He's not built like these guys that he plays like. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind him using his athletic ability and elusiveness to get the first down and just get out of bounds. Get the first down, slide. There's no need to take extra hits and get yourself beat up. And so, what I've seen out of Washington, out of what I was able to see is Merritt is an extremely good running back. I think they have their running back
Mhm.
of the future. I think Jeremy McNichols is a great compliment. Maybe I'm a Boise State homer, but what he's able to do in the pass game and then the few carries that he does get, he makes the most of. I think they just got to continue to get younger on defense. I think Marshawn Lattimore was a shot last year. They saw the team had potential to make a deep playoff run, and they did. And, but the way he's played this year, Lattimore would be the first person I call at the end of this, post June 1st. I designate him a post June 1st cut. You completely clear $18.5 million with no dead cap, so that'll put them at what? They have 84 to start with plus 18, so they'll be pretty much in the same position the Patriots were in last offseason. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to write a blank check to anybody you please, and I think they could really build a serious team around Jaden Daniels, really in one offseason. You draft well, you spend wisely, you keep some carryover cap for the season and end of next year. I think they have a very interesting offseason, and that might be something I put together this year. What I would do if I was the Commanders this offseason. I think that's an interesting idea to explore.
No, yeah, I think the Commanders are in prime spot to have a premium draft pick and go into the season writing blank checks, and I think a lot of people will want to come play for a quarterback that can get to an NFC Championship. That's young, so like I said, I think they can be the Patriots 2.0 for the NFC version of the Patriots, and really solidify the team like one good time actually.
That's the last thing we need is a deeper NFC. But we've got, oh my god, it's almost 2 hours. We plan to do 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think we originally planned for 30, 45 minutes, but we get two blabbermouths in the same room. I guess
the chat got going. But I just want to thank y'all for coming out. The first stream is in the books. Constructive criticism is always welcome. What we can do better. We're obviously going to watch it back and see what we can do better. Keep the flow going. I appreciate everybody that pulled up, everybody that chatted. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back.
All right, fellas.